Elkabetz. Elkabetz.
Ronit
I know that she was really like kind of an Audrey Hepburn of sorts in Israel. Would you say that's an okay comparison? Like she was known for her fashion and her grace as well as her skills in acting?
Yes, but also for her, she was also a social activist and a role model for women. She was a feminist, so she was also, her creations always reflected her beliefs and values.
Wow, that's amazing. So were you, being a fashion person yourself, were you always someone that, you know, noticed her for her fashion, or this kind of all happened after she, you know, tragically passed away?
Absolutely, I adored her. I remember as a student, fashion design student, she was always a muse, not only for her appearance and wardrobe, but also for her art and her movies. So it was like this total inspiration.
So how much work did it take to actually come up with the idea of putting this exhibit together? And I know it involved her brother as well. So I mean, how did this idea come about, and how quickly did it get brought to reality?
So the exhibition is created in collaboration with Ronit Elkabetz's brother, Shlomi Elkabetz, who is a film director, and they co-directed all their films together. It all started, he wanted to consult on how to keep or where to donate her collection, which has over 500 pieces.
Wow.
Both from personal events, bridal gowns, couture pieces, costumes from films. It was all in there, and we started a conversation that lasted over 3 hours, and then the idea for an exhibition.
That's the best first date ever.
And then the idea for an exhibition came up, and then we took it from there. This was 1.5 years ago, and then it became this beautiful creative dialogue. Shlomi was in charge of the artistic direction and the space design, as well as specially created video arts for the exhibition, and I was in charge of the curation, the research, writing, and etc.
Wow, so I mean, who would think that someone would? I mean, you hear about all these huge Hollywood, old silent movie era stage actresses with all these costumes, but you know, for a woman who, you know, wasn't working for like 30, 40 years to have this much inventory, was she just a hoarder, or she just knew it had value?
It was.
I mean that lightly, but
collected over 3 decades. She initially wanted to be a fashion designer. She studied fashion design in high school. We even have her graduation project on. We found it 34 years later.
Wow.
In mint condition. So it's also on display in the exhibition. And another collaborator is the Israeli fashion designer Victor Belaish, who sculpted the clothes in the exhibition. This is a piece by Victor.
Amazing.
And he really brought the clothes into life in the exhibition.
Now, for you, you know, I know that you're Israeli. You went through school here, but then you live in New York. So what's it like? You know, obviously, I imagine there's a cord pulling you home, but I mean, there's no better place to be than New York. So, I mean, what is it like living there and having these great projects, but also being so far away?
I think it's wonderful. In the past 6 years, I've been living in New York and also teaching at NYU SPS. And having these projects, I also created exhibitions in New York, and I had a shoe exhibition in San Francisco recently. And I think it's wonderful, because for me it's an opportunity to come home and to be here and to focus on both where my heart is and also where my field I think is growing. So it's great to be in both
it's so
areas.
Interesting though, because it's like one of those things that, like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to, you know, for this all to kind of come together. Someone you emulated. You know, do you worry that you're not going to be able to have another project that you're going to be so personally fond of? I mean, you don't always get an Israeli celebrity to do a project around, you know?
I think Ronit Elkabetz was one of a kind. I really think also the way she kept everything in her, we call it the archive, because it was really kept like an archive.
Wow, like everything was cataloged and everything?
Folded,
dry clean?
Wrapped in silk paper.
Silk paper?
Yeah, there were little notes, a dress designed by Gideon Obelzon for the Oscars of 2007. This is something, it was almost like a treasure waiting to be found.
Of course.
So it is.
We know there are no coincidences, right?
Yes, yes.
Wow, it's
absolutely.
really beautiful. So how long is it? The exhibit's going to be going on at the Design Museum in Holon.
Yes.
For how long?
5 months. So it's until the end of April, and it's open every day except Sunday. And we we have extended hours because there are a lot of people coming, which is a very exciting thing. Yes.
Now we got to somehow get a little pop-up exhibit in New York. You know, there are so many Israelis there that would appreciate it.
Yeah, you asked me what's next, and I hope that next is the show to travel to either Paris or New York, because this is really the feedback that we're getting.
And a dream come true for you.
Yes.
How great. Well, thank you so much, and really amazing. Wow.